Welcome to another episode of the brand called You. We have been in conversation with Surgeon Captain Dr. Asif Iqbal Ahmed on psychiatry, mental illness, and all the challenges that are being faced in our country. Asif, tell me a little bit about first, what are the challenges being faced by millennials? Young group of people and lot of stresses.
Yes, I think this is a very significant proportion of our population. And as we all know, they are the future of the world. And hence, I think it is important for us to address their specific challenges. As you know, millennials are people who have been said to have been born after the 90s, 95.
Correct.
And this is the time that technology also made very rapid advances and permeated every part of our life. And today it is practically impossible to imagine life without technology.
Correct.
So like every other thing in life, there is a flip side to the coin. It has provided us with a lot of benefits, but it has come with its own challenges. And millennials are the ones who are grappling with it the most,
Correct.
because it has got incorporated at a very early stage in their lives. And specifically social media. Now, though we call it social media, I think it is the most unsocial means of communication, actually.
Okay. Yes.
You see any millennial, he may have 5,000 friends on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. However, in his immediate vicinity, in the surroundings, he won't even have 4 friends.
Correct.
So actually, he's isolated from the friends around him.
Right.
And man being a social animal, that human interaction is essential and it is very protective to our mental health. In fact, so much so that it was found that people who survived the Gestapo concentration camps, they survived because they were in touch with other people with whom they could share
Right.
their face to face, they could share their troubles. Now, millennials have started living based on the validation that they receive on the number of likes, on the number of friends that they have, and it has brought in a tendency to compare themselves with others. We all need some sort of a feedback, a positive feedback, to know that we are doing well. It is self-validation. But over millions of years, human mind is only geared up to deal with a handful of feedback which you get.
Correct.
Are the millennials geared up to deal with the feedback of thousands of people? The thousands of likes that they aspire for? That's one challenge. Second big challenge is extracting attention. Now, this is a phrase which I'm using, which I don't know, it's not in common terminology.
And what does it mean?
Extracting attention. You attend to your surroundings, what you have to concentrate on, what do you have to focus on. But this social media, especially the device, handheld device, extracts your attention from your immediate surroundings. So you may be in conversation, suddenly there is a pop-up and your attention gets distracted. And now you're looking at that. So it becomes very difficult to remain in focus at the task at hand. And even in a social interaction, that eye-to-eye contact is very, very important. There has been an incident where a lady doctor was actually beaten up in an ICU by the family members because while she was telling them about the condition, serious condition of the patient, she was looking at her mobile phone.
Oh my God.
And they felt that she's not paying heed to them. They have too many opportunities, too many things to distract them. So this extraction of attention is actually making them lose focus on the real tasks at hand.
Correct.
And this human contact is actually becoming less and less. The physical activity, physical exercise releases certain endogenous opioids, which are actually good for our mental and physical well-being. Now, when you stop these physical activities and play video games and things like that, you become a couch potato, and that has its very negative and deleterious effects on your health. Limiting screen time is a major issue for them. I had a child, 14 years old, who had to be brought forcibly by the parents to PsyCare because he was spending about 18 hours out of 24 on the net. He had stopped going to school, he had stopped eating, he had stopped sleeping. And we knew that this was a problem. The parents kept trying everything. However, when he assaulted his mother, when she switched off the router, that's the time that they brought him to us. So there are many such children, and it is a challenge for the parents, the baby boomers who are called the boomers, the previous generation.
Yeah.
For them, it is a challenge how to limit screen time. So these are the challenges with millennials.
Tell me one other thing. I mean, like you were talking in our earlier episode on the challenges a lot of the soldiers face because of instant communication. When I talk to a lot of millennials, I find ambition levels have completely gone through the roof. I mean, everyone who wants to do a startup wants to become $1 billion worth. Everyone who wants to do anything wants success tomorrow morning. And I sometimes I said, we've all worked hard. And success only comes through hard work, not through anything else. What is that also in India, some kind of an impact on mental health?
Yes, most certainly, Ashutosh, because there are very two important concepts that you've introduced here in this question. One is about success and second is about ambition.
Correct.
Now, these are very abstract qualities and abstract entities. So what does one define success is a question which has to be put to the millennials.
Correct.
For them, is success has become getting 10,000 likes, or has it become having a fancy gadget at his hand and a fancy car to drive? Is that what is meant by success? And what is ambition? Is the ambition to do good? Is there ambition to contribute to the community? Now, these are things which give you, these are also your earnings, But unfortunately, the millennials have lost sight of these earnings and these blessings.
Correct.
And hence, in their race to just acquire material objects and race after material pursuits, they are losing sight of basic human requirement of social connectedness, of gratitude, and that is causing immense problem in their relationships and their mental health.
Correct. In fact, you're so right. I mean, I was telling a lot of millennials in my own family and a lot of friends, children. I said, when we were growing up, we used to take photographs of one another, of family, and we used to keep that in albums. I said, all of you only take photographs of food. So when you reach my age and you look at your album, all that you'll see is photographs of food.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Whereas social relationships, everything seems to be disappearing.
Yes, I would strongly recommend you to read up a bit of work by a entity called Center for Humane Technology.
Okay.
I'm not saying that technology is all bad. I mean, if we didn't have technology, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And I wouldn't have had the reach that I'm going to have through your platform.
Correct.
So we need to learn the smart use of technology. Now, unfortunate part is that this technology has started even dictating our lifestyles. Talking about our childhood, when you talk about birthday parties, you felt who were the friends, who used to sit next to you, who's a dear friend to you, you would call him, and that's what it was dictated by. Correct. Now it is dictated by how is the cake going to look, who are the friends who should be in the same frame as me, who should be out. So technology, instead of serving our ends, has become an end by itself.
I agree. So, Asif, let's move to, PsyCare. We were talking about PsyCare in our first episode also. You set up and you had a lot of challenges getting your approvals, etc. Going forward, now that you are a legitimate licensed psychiatric hospital, what are some of your challenges?
Yeah, the biggest challenge remains, which was there when I took up psychiatry also, is dispelling the stigma surrounding mental health.
Mm.
So earlier facilities were not available. Now facilities are maybe available. However, there's a acute shortage of mental health professionals. Whoever are there also, because of the stigma, again, they do not get the help that they deserve. And this stigma acts as a barrier to accessing available resources. So the biggest challenge is to dispel this stigma and make people accept it as a part of legitimate help seeking. Second challenge, of course, which all of us are facing is due to this COVID.
Good.
COVID has become balancing act between lives and livelihoods.
Correct.
You have to step out for your livelihood and you have to stay home to save your lives.
Correct.
So where does this balance come?
Mm.
And we faced this at PsyCare also. There was a time from 700 OPD, we dropped down to 20 to
Wow.
30. That's it. Because people wouldn't be able to come. If again, technology, smart use of technology has come to our aid. I launched a app which had been in designing process for the last 2 years. Now it came in handy. So some of our outpatients have shifted to this app platform,
Correct.
where they are able to consult us, and the government has also helped us by giving guidelines for telepsychiatry.
Mm.
Otherwise, doctors who have consulted on phone have been severely reprimanded and have been penalized with jail and whatnot for giving a telephonic consultation. I mean, it was a very retrograde step government used to do.
I agree.
They weren't moving in times with the technological advances. So inpatient care has suffered because now patients are worried. We've had COVID positive patients who suffer from mental illness. So we don't know where will they go. The COVID hospitals are not in a position to take care of their mental health conditions.
Correct.
So this is a challenge. And the other challenge is, of course, to spread. I have now a replicable working, should I call it a business model, which would help cities, people across the country and even globally. The proof of concept is there. I have so many people, patients, families who've recovered. And another unfortunate part is most of your expenses are out of pocket for mental health.
Correct.
Insurance companies still recently would not cover mental health under this. So people have paid out of pocket, yet they are happy that their lives are back.
Wonderful.
So this is the challenge.
Very good. And one other question is that given all the development that's taking place in the world of mental health, and given the fact that, the COVID pandemic is not going away, which is obviously having a big impact on each one of us, what are the challenges for mankind?
Yes, I think it has actually been a blessing in disguise also, in a way. Look at the silver lining to the cloud. We have been forced to sit at home and rethink our focus. We have been given a break from our hustle and bustle of life where we were running to stay in the same place. It has made us introspect. It has given us time to spend with our family members and be more social and sociable. The challenge remains for businesses and for livelihoods.
Correct.
And as we all know, science tells us, psychiatry tells us that there are social and economic determinants of mental health. After all, if you're unemployed, if you don't have a source of livelihood, or if your social relations are not up to the mark, that's going to have impact on your mental health.
Correct.
So the challenge is going to be how to find the right balance. I think that innovation, collaboration, ways of rethinking about the way businesses need to be run, this is the way forwards. And people will have to be very flexible and rethink the traditional methods of business.
Okay. Well said. Well said. So I now have time for a few questions for you personally, which I wasn't able to ask you. But before I go, I want to come back to the role of parents and children. What kind of changes should a parent be looking for in their children before they realize that they need to come and talk to you at PsyCare?
Yes, there are certain, should I call them red flags, warning signs that, there are some impending problems. First is any recent change in their behavior. A child who was generally cheerful has become withdrawn. One who used to like to go to school has stopped wanting to go to school and is becoming truant, is not going to school, going elsewhere, has become very irritable. There is a change in their biological patterns like sleep and appetite are disturbed. By disturbed, I do not mean that they aren't eating. Many parents just come with this concern, mera bacha enough nahi kha raha. But disturbed could mean binge eating also. Crying without reason, withdrawing into themselves, stopping to meet friends, talking about ending their lives. Now, this is a very, very strong signal that there is something wrong. And unfortunately, there is a myth. People feel that anybody who wants to end their lives by suicide will not talk about it. And what scientific literature shows is that nearly 66% of people who have died by suicide have actually spoken about it to somebody else, which was not paid heed to. And trying to actually patronize or, tell them in an authoritative fashion what to do and say, oh, you have no trouble. You have such a good house. You have a mobile phone. You have everything. Why are you like this?
Correct.
No, we need to learn to listen. We should parents should understand that children may not listen to you, but they see you.
Amazing. Yeah.
So don't keep talking to them, telling them what to do. See what you are doing. You may be telling them to limit the screen time, but you are using the phone all the time. So parents have to bring about a change in their own lifestyles, in their own behaviors. And it is said that in many of the children who have psychopathology, there is psychopathology in the family also. So we need to introspect as parents, what kind of example are we setting for our children? And keep an eye open for these behavioral changes that I spoke about. And if you find that a child is talking about suicide or it has started affecting his studies, that's the time that have no shame. There is no shame in seeking help. There is shame in stigma.
Amazing. So now time for a few questions for you personally. My first question is that if you were a role model to millions of children who closely followed you and your life choices, what is the one thing you would change in yourself?
Yeah, I would become more aware of my responsibility actually. I think as a role model, we need to remember that many of the things that we do is going to impact your followers. And hence, I think we need to become more aware of our vicarious responsibility. And second thing I would learn and I would love to inculcate is patience. As you said a while back, that there is no substitute to hard work.
Correct.
But then the hard work also takes time to show its result. You want a fruit, you have to put the seed in, you have to toil, you have to water the plant, you have to wait for it to grow up, and then enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Amazing. Well said.
Unfortunately, now with everything on tap and on demand, that ability to delay our gratification or the ability to wait for the results to show up has been lost. And I think I would love it for people to see the benefits of patience and understand the significance of developing this quality.
Wonderful. And my last question to you.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you?
Yeah. Yes. Success, I would speak in professional terms and on personal terms. On professional terms, I would say that if mental health services could reach to 80% of the people, at least 80% of the people who need such help, I would consider it a professional success. And the figures are very alarming here. It is estimated that today only 5 to 10% of people who are in dire need of mental health, they get it. So on a professional front, it would be that majority 80% of patients who suffer from psychiatric illnesses get professional help. On a personal level, which is again, dovetailed with this professional goal, is to set up a PsyCare in USA.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, all my peers, all my friends from AFMC, quite a few of them, I would say nearly 30% of them have been affected by brain drain and have migrated to US, and they're contributing hugely to their economy and to their well-being. And Americans, they are getting the best talent and providing them the best resources there. So what resources we have developed here, I would like to set up there and say, see, this is what India is doing.
Amazing. Amazing. Dr. Ahmed, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege talking to you. I wish you lots of success.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashutosh. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.